and welcome to Cannabis Marketing Live, all puff, no fluff. I'm your host, Kendra Losi of Moda Marketing, and today we are talking about the secrets to advertising your cannabis or hemp CBD business online. Now, I just wanted to say, sorry we're running a few minutes late. There's been major technical difficulties from mics not working, cameras not working, you name it, it's been happening, but we are here now. And I am here, today we have a guest. My guest today is Christian Valdez of Traffic Roots. And Christian was my very first guest 2 years ago. And with all the technical difficulties, I'm guessing that he doesn't know that things have actually gotten better and more smooth. But it's true. They have. Christian, welcome.
Thank you. I know. It's the virus. It's the COVID virus. It's affecting everybody, including tech people and computers. It's spreading now more than we thought.
Absolutely. And we are here, though. We made it. We are here live. If you guys are watching and have questions about advertising online, drop it in and drop your questions in the comments, and we're going to get started. So one of the things that I think that Christian has done that I think is really amazing is created a advertising platform for all of us in the cannabis space. I hear all the time that we can't advertise online, and that is not true. There are ways to do it, and Christian is here to tell us about those. So, Christian, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Kendra. Good to be here.
Absolutely. And so my questions for you are, well, to get started, what made you decide to start Traffic Roots?
I was the COO of another ad network, and I was getting certain requests from management up the ladder in regards to cannabis publications and cannabis advertisers that wanted to run. And at the time, we couldn't do it. And that was way long time ago, actually. Not that long, but you know how it goes.
It feels long.
So it actually just started as a kind of personal project, because I was like, well, maybe I can find another ad network that we can refer business to, and it can work for both of us. And that's really how it started. And that process led me into like a year plus worth of research, and I couldn't find anything. And I was very captivated by the industry because I thought it was just a bunch of stoners and hippies and so forth and so on. And it wasn't. I was very surprised to find out that it wasn't even then. So that led me to a year's worth of research. And then at that point, I basically said, you know what, I think there's something there. If it doesn't exist, maybe I got the crazy idea to build it. So kind of got together with my co-founder now, and we build a digital ad platform, a DSP, from scratch, which is a little bit of an undertaking, but you know, we like a little bit of a challenge, as you know.
It's true. It's true for sure. So when you say, can you explain what an ad network is to people that might not know what that is?
Sure. So as an example, Google is an ad network. People don't know that. It started as a search engine, but you have Google AdWords, search, they have a big portion of it. Facebook is an ad network as it goes. The only difference is that Facebook, instead of having many publications under their roof, which they do, they have Instagram and other ones, it's all mainly in their social platform. So what an ad network does, it actually makes relationships directly with the sites. So we work with People.com, Rolling Stones, CNBC, MSNBC, I believe. And I think we're up to about 150,000 sites that have given us a green thumb for CBD and cannabis-friendly ad space. So our platform basically connects agencies and brands, both. We work with both to be able to place a single ad and have it reach all those publications at the same time.
So you're not just on cannabis websites.
No, I would say the majority of our inventory that we have is non-cannabis websites. All recipes, like I said, Rolling Stones. It's quite a few of them. Even Forbes and a few others as well that are well known.
So if I wanted to advertise, say, my new product or what have you, in the state that I'm in, I could use that and not just reach other cannabis users. I could build out audiences.
That's exactly right. So I got a surprise for you that I'll share in a second on audiences. But Yes, you can reach a very broad audience. Don't get me wrong, we work with like MJ Biz Daily. We're on their site and all their other properties, like Hemp Daily, I think is another one that we have under their umbrella. So you can reach all those. And the good thing about that is if you are looking for cannabis specific sites, you can target based on site. So once you're running, then you can actually turn off sites that you don't want to appear on, that are not giving you the performance.
Okay. Okay, I want to back up a little bit because we
Sure.
have some people that haven't done any display ads or, are stuck in the mindset that they can't advertise, whether they're cannabis or CBD. We're used to running into those regulations. So how would you recommend someone go about getting started?
Um, I would say first off, do your research on your marketing. And then what I mean by that is if you're a CBD company, pretty general stuff, don't make any medical claims. Um, that's probably the biggest one. Understand where you can actually advertise. As an example, there's I think like 4 or 5 states that will not take CBD. South Dakota, North Dakota, and a few others. I don't know. It's all right. You can bring your dog into the pot. Bring him up. Show him to everybody. Get him involved.
He is barking because I'm here all day, so of course right now is when people are buzzing to get in.
But the main thing is just medical claims. We do have an ad ops compliance team that when you submit your, oh yeah, no. Oh, I keep talking. Okay, it's a live show, so we can do whatever we want. Do your
So
thing.
so Christian, can you keep answering the question? I will be right back.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll keep going. So we do have a compliance team that reviews your ads, make sure it is compliant, make sure that you're not making any medical claims, making sure that it meets kind of the minimum standard for maybe for compliance. That's the biggest thing. And then from there, once it's approved, it just needs to get approved once, and you can definitely reuse that creative again. Oh, there she is. She's back. Um,
Sorry.
and it lives on our platform. So that's one of the things that once you upload your creatives and your links, they're there. You can go back. You can have somebody in your team kind of go into the platform and utilize them, create campaigns, and do all the jazz. So that's the general consensus of compliance. Um, our AdApps team has sheets and sheets and sheets of things that they have to go by and kind of understand and review, and it's constantly changing. And that's why we exist, and that's why the partners that we work with kind of trust what we do.
So if people are going in and looking at their audiences and trying to figure out how to include digital marketing and display advertising that you guys offer as part of their marketing plan, let's talk. So let's talk a little bit about budgets. What should someone expect to spend? And I know this varies, but what kind of things? So I have two questions. One is what do you recommend someone use to get started? And two, my second question is going to be in terms of the purpose of what their goals are. So let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's start with spend or goals.
Right, exactly. So it kind of goes hand in hand. I think first off, before you even get into budgets, you kind of have to understand the strategy that you have to apply to it and the concept of time. And the concept of time associated with the concept of budgets. Because you can have $100,000 budget and spend it in a month. But if you spread out that $100,000 and you go over a 6-month or 12-month period, you're going to have more brand recognition because of the concept of time. People continually see your brand. And we get that a lot. Like, how much should I spend? And the question is, as much as you can afford over an extended period of time, whether that be 6 months or 3 months, because it takes time for people to recognize that brand. And it's also as good as your strategy. And what I mean by that when it comes to e-commerce is running an ad is the easy part. The back end of an e-commerce site is really where all the nuts and bolts, the Google Analytics, all those plugins, being able to cookie people, how do you identify returning users? There's so much behind it. Conversion tracking, all these little pieces really add up to a successful campaign. And if you're not aware of how to cookie your user, how to set up conversion tracking, how to set up your traffic source so you can identify which traffic source is giving you the best ROI, budget is going to be irrelevant at that point because it's just your fundamentals that need to be in place first. And then second, once those are in place, then it's okay, well, we have a marketing budget for this quarter of X. And as long as you can sustain that for that 90-day period and be able to tweak as you're seeing those results, that's kind of the important thing. And maybe that did answer your question, or maybe it didn't, but that kind of gives you the full gamut of how to go about it, I would say.
Absolutely. It looks, I can hear you, but it looks like you might be there you go. Okay, you were frozen there for a second. So let's back up. If someone's doing campaign planning to have a successful campaign, budget, you've already mentioned, is one part of it. You start with,
yeah.
I think that you start with your goals, right? And then you look at your audience.
Right. So you would have to start with what you're trying to accomplish. Are you looking to do branding? Are you looking to do lead acquisition? Are you looking to do email list building? Because every single one of those could have a different strategy potentially. If it's a product, you might be able to test creatives and have a strategy that is providing you the data sets that you need. Data is big when it comes to digital marketing. And it could be a simple example as you have a CBD ad, and what you don't want to do is just put one ad, one size. You want to have one size, and you probably want to have a variation of 3 to 5 different ads that are completely different from each other, simply because that's going to give you an understanding of what kind of interaction and attention your product is getting based on those creatives. It could be a image of a couple, or image of a dog, or image of a elderly lady, and then you might be surprised. You might be surprised who's getting the better engagement based on just the visual aspect of things.
Absolutely. So we're going to figure out our goals, determine our audience, and then we're going to do the creative.
Mm-hmm.
And then we look at our budgets and figure out the placement in terms of geography. Can you talk a little bit about the targeting? What targeting capabilities? Oh,
this is where it's going to get interesting.
Okay.
I guess I'll just tell you the surprise now. So we are about to roll out a new data platform in which you are going to be able to, it's basically one and the same, but it's so robust that it's actually separate from our DSP, our display side platform, simply because you're able to do geoframing. And let's say, for example, MJBizCon 2019, we are able to do a polygon geoframe around the convention center, not only the convention center, but the exact convention hall that MJBizCon was, and retroactively go back to those days and capture an audience for those days specifically, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So if I'm trying to, so this is all the data, and then the data would feed the targeting?
Right. So let me give you an example.
Okay.
Let's say I am a cannabis event. You could technically grab different events from different parts of the country at different times, mm-hmm. and create audiences based on each one of those. And then let's say you have 5 events, and then you aggregate those audiences, and you can now have a combined audience pool of 300,000. Then you can use that 300,000 and do a very specific retargeting, or I guess you could say retargeting campaign against those people. A further example, that's just in the geoframing. We have a CBD company that's a beauty cream, really good product. So what we did is we geoframed all the Ulta beauties and all the Sephora beauty stores and Whole Foods or natural food stores across the U.S. So we aggregated a massive audience.
Yeah.
And we did that over that's a great thing. We could set a time frame. Give me everybody that's visited those stores in the last 3 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, 7 days, or 12 months. We could even go 12 months back. And what that does, it really allows you to hone in on who your audience is, number one. And that's just on location based.
Yeah.
Technically, you can use it for really good, or you can use it for competitiveness. Let's say that. I'll just leave it at that.
That's where I was going.
And in addition, and that's just in the geoframe location.
Okay.
You can actually make demographic targeting that you can add to that, where it's obviously age, gender, income, households, children, no children, everything you can imagine. even ethnicity, charity kind of donations. So you can really create some very, very specific audiences. And once you create that audience, you give it a tag, whatever you want, and now it appears when you are actually running a campaign. So if you have cannabis events audience, you can literally pull it down when you're creating a campaign and then utilize that audience to target against.
Can you do lookalike audiences as well? So if I pulled all that data from Sephora and Ulta and all those others, compare it to others to open up a brand new audience.
That's called an audience extension, and yes, you can do that. So you can select 100% match, 80% match of those attributions that you've set, and then it'll find other people similar to what you're looking for.
And then does it target those? Okay, now I'm like, all right, Christian. And then does it take that information and target it through the display network, or does it target it through? Okay, so then you've got those people. So basically, if someone went to a Sephora last week and you know that they're interested in beauty, then you can say, okay, you could serve them up ads about, the CBD beauty cream or whatever.
Exactly. Okay. And it gives you an actual demographic report as well. So at a given location, let's say a dispensary, if you geoframe a dispensary and you give it a 30-day date range, it actually tells you the people that are going to that dispensary, age, gender, income, locations, what zip codes they're driving from, what the frequency is, what time of days you see spikes in users showing up to that location. We don't see any, it's hashed information, it's anonymous data, so I want to make sure we're clear on that.
That's what I was just gonna.
But you are able to see those trends. So at any given time, from a dispensary perspective, we know a lot of information of that user base, whether they have kids, no kids, their income bracket, what zip codes they're driving to that location. Because although you might be in San Diego, they might be driving from Imperial County, the majority of them. So that gives you a lot of really good data that you can utilize to target for future ads. And those reports you can actually, as a marketer, as an agency, we provide you a shareable link, which doesn't have any cost or spend associated with it. You just basically think about if you're working with a dispensary client, you're able to send them that link and they're able to see that you're geo-framing that location to better understand what their demographic is of their visitors that are going to shop there.
Dare I ask how this information is being pulled?
The universe.
So you really did tag all of us when we weren't looking.
I didn't, but yes.
All right. So I've got a few ideas around that. But one of the things because this is so powerful, there's a ton of things you can do with this, both to understand your competitors, but also get really creative in terms of how to reach larger audiences.
It gives you a lot of testing capabilities. Mm-hmm. So it really gives you an understanding of who your audience is and how to really hone in, because digital marketing is fairly heavy in just analytics and statistics and understanding your client base. And that really gives you a really clear insight of who you're dealing with.
Absolutely. It's so interesting. Okay, because now you're talking about having like the power that you used to have with Facebook.
Pretty much.
Right? Like all of that type of advertising before they got in trouble for privacy. So can you just reiterate the privacy one more time?
So all those, it's based on hashed IDs, meaning that we don't know any personal information. We don't know any mobile phone numbers or emails or anything like that. It's a hashed ID that gets associated with it. And that's what gets passed back, and you're able to target against when you find that user online. So regardless of, even if they come to California and they're from New York, our system will identify that user was in California, now is in New York, and will still show them appropriate ad.
Interesting. So
everything's GDPR compliant and California compliant as well. Okay.
And then so that's in addition to, so that's a separate service option from the display ad network?
Okay. It's all in one. So it's just that platform is so robust that we have it separately. But once you create an audience and you label it, it immediately shows up on your account on our platform.
Okay. So if I'm looking at, I want to go back to, okay, you've got your goals, you've got your audience, and now you can really dive in and really look at an audience and build that out, not just by guessing or pixels or what have you. And then you can do your targeting and run your creative set and test your ads to see what's working. Can we talk a
Right.
little bit about the types of results that you've seen or that people see? I know, once again, it varies completely by the offer. There's so many different distinctions that happen there between the different offers and the goals of what people are trying to do. But what kind of results have people seen?
So on that CBD company, as an example that I was giving you earlier, we saw a 300+% lift, brand lift, in a less than a 10-day period.
Serious.
And yeah, with those particular like Sephora and Ulta audiences. With very minimal spend, I think ROI, I think jumped up a lot, uh,
I'm sure.
like a lot, simply because you're targeting people that are spending dollars already on Ulta and Sephora and Whole Foods. And one of the things we did is really tested those audiences to see which one was working best. Um, and that is extremely powerful simply because it allows you to understand which one's engaging more.
Mm-hmm.
And they did very well. And I think they're probably going to continue to run. So dispensaries is the same thing. We have a couple of nationwide dispensary chains that we work with, and we're able to geoframe all their locations, identify all the users within a 7-day period, and it's a rolling 7-day
Okay.
or 30-day. I think we have a 7 and a 30-day, and then retarget them with ads. So if you've been in a dispensary in the last 30 days, we'll send you an ad. If you send like in the last 7 days, we'll send you a separate ad or different ad. And that's all possible. And the list automatically refreshes. So if there's additional users that get added to it, it'll refresh.
Okay. So then, wow, that can be so powerful, especially if you're trying to sell products that are in a dispensary or trying to get into a dispensary. You can start seeing what
Exactly.
people can do. And then I'm thinking while you're talking, right? Like if you have a CBD brand, you could target, GNCs or what have you,
Correct.
vitamin cottages, if those are still such a thing, to see, because you're already seeing people who are into health and wellness and that kind of thing. How about non-chains? So if I was targeting, say I am targeting people in San Francisco and I want health and wellness people who are, going to yoga studios or what have you.
You can. So we have an interest section under the demographics. So you could say health and wellness. You could say they're into books, they're into science, they're into whatever. And you select all these boxes, and you can select interest wise. In addition, you can actually manually put in addresses or upload a flat file with addresses specifically, and our system will ingest it, and then you could target those geoframes.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like, this is so much power. People are constantly complaining that they can't advertise cannabis online.
Right.
So if you're interested, you guys look at traffic routes, because there is a very powerful platform and you can really get your message in front of people. What so we've talked about like through the process and the some of the results people have seen, but can you talk about the reporting a little bit? Because you mentioned how data driven digital marketing is, and that's absolutely true. And one of the things that I've noticed from my experience with digital is especially with display, is that most reporting doesn't include the attribution. So a lot of times display isn't the one thing that's actually converting, right? People will see the display ads and then search later or what have you. The behavior changes. So can you talk a little bit about the reporting and if you take into account attribution or how that looks?
Yeah, so the reporting, there's two sides of the reporting. There's demographic reporting, which I mentioned earlier, which gives you kind of a breakdown of the people that are visiting those particular locations. And then we do have conversion tracking, where if you have a conversion pixel set up to your site that's firing back to us, you're able to see um, what campaign, what creative, what publisher, basically everything that you need to know to give them a better understanding, and as a marketer to understand how to optimize those campaigns. We do have a retargeting pixel, which gives you the ability to create an audience specifically for your site.
Okay.
And then we have a full stats page in which gives you real-time analytics on every single attribution that we just talked to, meaning what campaign, what site, what state, what browser, what operating system, all that. I mean, you can go crazy on it. So it's fairly extensive on what you're able to do there, and it's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's kind of where analysis paralysis could potentially be an issue, but it can be done. I mean, that's part of it. Having those analytics and having that ability to really hone in on who your audience is really what it's all about. I think we're gonna break something here, but let's try it anyways. I could potentially show you guys if I'm able to share my screen. Do you think that's gonna break anything?
Hang on a minute. Let me pull it up. Let's go. Let's try it. All right. Okay. Hold with us while we pull up the screen. Let's see here. Okay. You are sharing your screen now. There's just dots.
Let's see.
Can you share your screen?
It's giving me some sort of a setting section, so let's see what there. It might not work because it says I need to quit Skype and then.
All right, we'll try that again. Maybe if you can take a screenshot of it, if you're willing to do that or something, and put it in the comments later, or put a link to. Oh, we're getting closer, you guys.
Go.
Hang on. Yeah. Yep.
Let's do a quick select here. So this is kind of where you're able to do, let's say Ulta. If you literally just type it in and say search.
Okay. Oh.
It immediately pulled 1,282 Ultas.
What?
So we could, we could say, I don't know.
California.
Let's say True Leaf. I think that's how it's spelled. True Leaf is a dispensary in Florida. Bam, there you go. 32 locations that we can target. And here's kind of the demographic section that I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go state. You can say zip code. You can go demographics. You can go male, female, children, no children, homeowner, no homeowner, married. Here's the interest aspect of it that you were asking me about. So reading, entertainment, interest. So this is where you're able to select those particular interests that you were asking me about.
Yeah.
Financial, ethnicity, even charity.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you basically created a many Facebook ads with all of that power. I can't even believe this. There is so much power to this, you guys.
It's pretty...
Is this live right now? So if someone logged on, let me go back over. If someone logged on and created an account in traffic routes, would they be able to use this right away, or is it launching soon?
It's launching soon.
Okay.
So if anybody's interested, they could just reach out to us directly, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay.
But this is kind of the address that you could basically select. I'm trying to think of an address off the top of my head. Let me see if I can think of one. Let's find one for you so I can give you a real example. Let's see, Las Vegas Convention Center.
Sure, do it.
Since everything.
So then you would just type in the address and it would...
3150.
Paradise Circle.
Yes.
A lot of places with paradise in and around the U.S.
I know.
We're not happy where we're at.
Weird.
So if I wanted to do Las Vegas, you could go there, but then you could even drill it down farther.
Correct. So you can go.
Oh, you spelled no? Yeah, paradise is spelled wrong. That's why.
Yeah, that's very why.
There it is. Oh my gosh. So then you could create a
There you
geo
go.
fence around that. And then you could do Christmas cowboys and cannabis.
Pretty much. And then I could basically go back here and then say, obviously, we're not going to get a lot, but I just want 90 days. And then you say get count. And then it'll actually pull a count. So in the last 90 days, there's been 3325 devices identified there.
Amazing. That is amazing.
Um, it's pretty cool. Let's say that. And
So
then you can have let's see if I have a report. We have a little site.
I'm such a nerd. I love this stuff.
That's nuts.
This is huge, you guys.
I'm trying to see if I could find you an audience that's already pre-built.
It looks like there's some in there. But even so, it doesn't look like it's actually, I'm going to move it back over to us while you're doing that. It doesn't look like it's that hard to create audiences and then dial it in.
That's right. That's the great thing about it. We try to make it as simple as possible. Trying to find stuff. Here's a dispensary one. It's a small audience. Home Depot. Let's do this one just for kicks and giggles.
Yeah. So then while you're doing that, I don't know if you can answer questions too, but who usually, is it usually marketing agencies that you work with, or do you work with brands directly, or a combination of both?
Yeah, so we do both. The majority of the people that, if a brand has an internal team that's digitally savvy, they're all over this.
Right.
And agencies, they usually have a digital team, so they understand how to pull the levers on something like this. So they geek out on it, which is what we like.
And then I'm flipping it back over to us for a minute. And then, so if somebody was not as savvy and they wanted to learn how to use it or hire somebody, do you recommend, is there any training that they can do, or do you recommend they just go work with an agency? Because
so there's a couple of things. One, we're probably going to roll out I wouldn't say certification, but more of a training just because of that. Two, we do have a media team internally that's able to run campaigns for clients. So in certain cases, brands will say, we want to do what you got, but we don't have the ability to do so. So we will hire you guys and your internal media team to be able to do it.
Okay.
And then we'll basically take on that project and help them out that way.
Okay. Have you noticed certain types of campaigns tend to work better? So is it more brand awareness type campaigns, or is it go to the dispensary or buy my CBD product? Like, what have you, or does it really just depend on the offer and the audience targeting?
I think it depends on I wouldn't say the offer. I think it depends on the strategy of the campaign, simply because if you're simply trying to do some brand awareness, great. That's always ongoing. That never stops. But then once that brand awareness and you're getting some traction on that, then you kind of want to move forward and say, okay, well, what kind of actionable item do we want? And that goes into, how do I track results?
Right.
What is a successful result for you, and what does that really mean? In the sense where, are you looking to capture emails? Are you looking just to get your brand out there? What's the objective that you're trying to reach? And that's pretty important, because that tells you, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to change differently? And how do I need to adjust?
Okay.
So campaign performance and success is really relative to what your objectives are.
Okay. I'm going to flip back over to the report you were showing us.
Sure.
So that way that is there. You can see half of me on your screen. Another half's the report.
So we do.
It's so meta.
I'm looking for one that already has one ready. Let's see if it's prepared. Inside is raw.
I'm so impressed. You guys, Christian was here 2 years ago and we were talking about advertising and basics, but the amount of work that has been done to, your platform's always been strong, don't get me wrong, but the amount of work that's been done to help all of us target audiences better is incredible. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of work. So
yeah.
Take you off the screen. I'm going to maximize mine.
All right.
So here's as an example of what the reporting actually looks like. Let's see.
So you can look at the number of devices and people that came through, assuming device is unique person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can look at it.
So this gives you male, female, gives you what percentage, it gives you the age, as you can see here. If you hover over it,
yeah.
The majority of it was 45 to 49. And then 50 to 54 was next to it. Who knew? Same thing for dwelling. So you have all these stats to play with. So once you create an audience, and you set a period of time and you're running it, this is all the metrics that come back.
So you could actually use this for targeting future campaigns too in your messaging, because once you have this dialed in,
Right.
The more you get this dialed in, because most people have an idea of who their audience is, but there's not always data to back it up.
This gives you hard data to understand who your audience is and who's engaging.
Amazing. This is amazing.
Yeah. So you were asking me about lifestyles, interest and travel, children, top of the list in this particular case, auto work, home furnishing, even like income wise, like where the median income is for that particular audience. This other insight report, similar, but this actually gives you kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it gives you the frequency of visits. It gives you what days you're getting the majority of the visits. It gives you what times you're getting the majority of the visits. And this is location specific. Even what zip codes people are actually coming from. So in this particular case, the majority are coming from this particular zip code and actually ranks it.
Interesting.
If there's multiple locations, like for example, in this case, we had 32 locations, it actually gives it to you on a per location basis, if you could see here. So Bonita Springs, Florida is different than this Clearwater, Florida. And this is by hour.
Interesting. Okay, so then you could use, wow. So you can actually use this. Can you set up ads targeting people at like the peak hours and time it like that for the different locations, or how detailed can you get with it?
You can. So on the platform, you can actually go and do site targeting, or you can even go, I don't think I have a campaign here, but you can do day parting. So you could specify specific days and specific hours within those days for your campaign to run.
Amazing. Amazing. I want to be cognizant of the time. I know we've gone a little over because we started late, but this is fantastic information, you guys. And from a targeting standpoint, wow.
And you could share, like this link that you see here is, if you choose to, you can actually share it with your client and all they would access is this.
Okay. So you could actually show everyone and give all these. This is amazing. I'm so impressed.
So as a marketing tool for agencies, this is used a lot because they're like, hey, we found this information about your guys. I'm not sure if you know or not. This is what we could do.
I can see that. I can see that being really valuable in many, many different ways for sure. Okay. Before we get going, because I know that we're a little over time because of all our tech difficulties earlier, what advice would you have to someone to getting started?
Get started. Take the first step. But I think prior to taking the first step is don't overthink it sometimes.
Okay. We lost. Sorry.
You gotta get your feet wet, and you have to start aggregating some data.
Awesome.
on who your audience is. I think that's probably the number one thing is understanding your audience and understanding it takes time. I mean, it's never perfect, and you are going to make mistakes, and that's normal. That's okay.
Fantastic. And where can people find you and connect with Traffic Roots?
Trafficroots.com is probably the best. I always screw up all the social media handles, so I think all the icons for social media are on there.
I'll put them in the notes below too.
Exactly.
I'll put them in the comments. I gotcha.
With the handles, they're all. I think we have like 2 different ones or 3 different ones, and I'm gonna screw it up if I tell you exactly which ones they are.
Don't worry about it. I've got it, you guys. I'll put it in the notes below. Thank you so much, Christian. I really appreciate all your time and you coming back to show us all the cool stuff you've been doing. You guys, if you have any interest in testing out and dipping your toes in or blowing us out of the water with what you can do with digital advertising, check out Traffic Roots. It's an incredible platform. And as you can see, they've been working really hard to make it work for all of us. So I appreciate it. Christian, thanks for being here. And you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Kendra. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys.